Hello guys, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the first episode of this series in which we're going to build a Node app with a MERN stack, with MySQL as database instead of MongoDB, Node for the server with Express framework, and React for the frontend. So here, this is the app that we're going to build. We have the nodes that we're getting from our database. We can create new nodes in this other page with the author name and node content. Let's say John, and this is his first node. Click on create, and after the node has been created successfully, we can create another node or go to home. So let's go back to home, and here we have the new node. We can also edit the node like this. Let's say Sarah, and this is her second node. Click on change, and here we can see the changes in the node. So we can also delete the node, and if we click on view node, we can see all the node information in a single page. So here we cover the 4 principal actions of a classic CRUD application. And to follow along with this series, I recommend you to know the basics of MySQL, Node, and React. And in this episode, we're going to build the backend of our application. So, are you ready? Let's go. You need Node and MySQL installed in your computer. If you don't have MySQL, you can download XAMPP from apachefriends.org. Here you have the installer for Windows, Linux, and Mac. And after that, when you open XAMPP, here is the window that appears. So let's go to Manage Servers and start MySQL database and the Apache web server. Okay, now let's create a new folder here. We can call the project MERN-MySQL and drag the folder inside VS Code. Here we have, and now let's open a new terminal. Create a new folder called server, and let's go inside the server folder with cd server, and now I'm going to do npm init-wide to create a new node project. So here we have the package.json. Now let's install the packages where we need. In this case, I'm going to use npm with cores, express, and MySQL 2 to connect with our MySQL database. And also I'm going to install NodeMon as a dev dependency. So we don't have to stop and start server each time we make a change. So inside server, let's create a new file called index.js, import express from express. We get an error because the type module is not by default accepted in Node, so we have to go to package.json and put type as module, and now the error has gone. Now let's create the port constant as we say 4000, and now const app is equal to express now let's app.listen to the port. After that, console log server is running in port. Let's make this a literal string to put inside our port constant. Let's save, and if we put the command node index.js, oh, I missed an S here. Save, and let's try again. Node index.js servers running import 4000. All right. It's time to create our database. So let's go to localhost /php myadmin. Oh, admin, no, it's admin. And now here we have our databases. Let's create a new one. Let's call it nodes. Sorry, the database will be MERN MySQL. And now for the table, it will be nodes with 4 columns. And now the fields of our table will be, the first one is the node ID. The type is integer. Okay, by default, no. Here, auto increment before comments and after index. Let's check it, and now instantly it will be our primary key. Okay, the second one will be the author name with be of type of varchar. At maximum, it will have 125 characters. After that will be the node itself, type of varchar, and the maximum length will be 255. The last one will be created at, the type will be of timestamp. So here we have date and time, timestamp. Now by default will be the current timestamp. So here we have the 4 columns of our table. So here let's put save. Now we have created our table. So let's create a new row. Here in insert, node ID, it will be empty. So by default, it will be auto incremented the value of it. So let's put the author name will be Julian, it will be me, and the node, this is my first node. So created at will be the current timestamp. So let's say go, and now one row inserted. Let's go to browse, and here we have our first node created. So let's create the connection to the database, but here I have to fix an error. So here it will be .js, the extension is a must in the node applications. So let's save, and now inside server let's create a new folder called services, and inside services db.js, and now we need to import create pool from MySQL to slash promise and let's export our pool that we have to create this way, create pool, and it receives an object with the configuration that is first one is a host, will be a local host, the user is root, and the database we want to connect is MERN-MySQL. Okay, let's save. And now it's time to create the controllers for our methods of our route. Okay, so let's create controllers.js. Now we have to import the pool that connects with our database from services db.js. Now let's create the first controller that will be export const get all nodes. It will be async and receives the request and the response. So we have to await that our pool, it has a method that is query, where we have to pass the MySQL query for our database. So here we put select all from nodes, and this returns a result that we save it in a variable that has two positions. It's an array that has two positions, so the nodes will appear in the first position. So here we need the all nodes this way, and let's response with all nodes. Fine. Now let's create a new script. Dev will be nodemon index.js. Let's save. And now let's put the command npm run dev. While the server is running, we have to put the controller inside the get route. So here we need the get all nodes. Now let's import it. Import get all nodes from the controllers file. Now let's save. If we refresh the page, we get the row that we have created, the first row we have created, so the author Julian, and the node is my first node. So we have our first controller running, so now we have to create the second one. Here we can call it get node, and also let's import it. So here let's save, and now let's go to controllers and create the export const get node. It also will be async request response. Okay, now we need the ID that will be passed through the params. So let's put ID that comes from request.params. Okay. Now, the same way that before, let's put const node, because remember it returns each query returns an array of 2 positions, and the result will be in the first position. So here put node will be from await pool.query, and let's pass in the query. So here inside the query will be select all from nodes where node ID will be equal to, and now this data we can pass it this way with a question mark, and after that, after the query, inside an array, we can pass each piece of data. We have to pass it through the query. So here, if it has a question mark, it will be ID. So the first one will be for the first question mark, the second one for the second question mark that we have in our query, and so on. This way it's safer to prevent attacks because the data is passed separately from the query. So now let's respond with the node. So let's save, and now if we go here, let's try to get the node with the node ID 1. Let's put, and here we have the node. To create a new node, we need the post method. So let's create it with this. Let's copy that, and here change the name. So now we need that the user send us the author name and the node. So those will be received through the body. So here author and node from request.body. Okay, now let's put pool.query. Inside it, query will be insert into nodes, author and node, values, and here we need 2 question marks that the values will be the author name and the node. After that, with response.json with dot status will be 201. That is the HTTP code for creation. After that, end, and here we'll save the result in a variable. This controller, let's put inside the post here, post node for controllers. And now to go on, we need to make more requests to our API to test it. So instead of going to the browser each time, I have an extension that is called REST client. This one from Huachao Mao, I think it said like this, that allows us to make the requests inside Visual Studio Code. So for this I'm going to create a new folder for the requests, and inside the requests first forget all nodes, so you can see how it works, .rest. And here we have to put first of all the HTTP method that will be get. After that the URL HTTP localhost 4000/API/nodes. So here let's save, and after that it appears here a button called send request. So let's click on it, and here we have the response with all the nodes. So this is much simpler than going each time to the browser. So now let's create a request, a new request for the create node.rest. And now first is the method. After that, let's copy the URL. After that, let's set the header with content type. It will be application/JSON. After that, inside curly braces, it will be the body of the request. So here, let's send the author will be John. After that, the node will be hello, this is John. Let's save and send the request. After that, the response is with 201 created. Now let's go to our database to see if the node has been created successfully. So here in phpMyAdmin, let's go to MERN MySQL, nodes table, and here we have created John. Hello, this is John. Let's create the put method. So let's copy the post method and change here. So now I'm going to receive the ID through params. And now the query will be update nodes and set here a question mark where node ID equals to question mark. Now here let's simplify this. We are going to receive also the author and the node, but in this case we're going to use them this way. So the second one is the ID, and the first one we said it can receive here an object, so we're going to pass the body itself that will contain the author, the new author and node values. So now with the status will be 200 and return the result. Let's save and put the new method here. Will be put node and the new request let's copy this one and now the method will be put and the ID of the node will be the second one and now the new values will be shown. And here, what's going on, guys? Now let's save and send the request. And now the response is here. It is okay, affected rows 1. Let's go to our database and refresh the page to see if the changes have been made. So here it's shown and what's going on, guys. So now let's do the delete method. So let's go to controllers, and now let's copy this get node that here. So now is delete. Also we need the ID. The query will be here, delete from nodes, where node ID is equals to the ID. And now the status code 204, that is no content. So let's save and go to the routes and do the same of the others. Here's delete node and import it from controllers. Okay, now let's do the request, delete node, and now let's copy this, delete, and let's delete the second one. Save, send the request, and we receive no content. If we go to our database, let's refresh, and Sean has been deleted. As we don't want that our API crashes when an error occurs, let's handle them with a try catch. So let's put a try catch and wrap all the procedure inside the try. So it is okay. Let's respond with the status of 200, else the status code will be 500, and the message that we send is the message we get from the error. Now let's go for the get node. Okay. Here, when we get the single node, the result in the first position of the array is also an array. So here, let's modify this and let's put result, and the node will be the first position of result. Okay, now if there is no node with the ID, we say if result dot length is less than 1, so we get an empty array. There is an error, else let's return the node. this way, status of 200, and here the response will be with the status of 404, that is not found, and let's put an end here. Okay, so in the catch, let's put the same error as here. Right. Okay, in the post, it's time for the post. So here, inside the try, and the same error in the catch. Here in the put, it will be the same as in the get a single node. So here put try catch, let's copy this, and also here we need, that is, if it is not found, this will be here with the result. And now here in the put, we get the result and not the node that has been changed. So here we receive an information that it has as a property affected rows. So if affected rows is 0, means that not node with this ID has been found. So let's return with also 404 and end the procedure. Okay, so the last one will be delete. So here it goes. This will be the same. And this one of delete is also like the put method. So the result is information about the operation that has been made in MySQL. So it is the same if result affected rows is equal to 0, else response dot status 404 and end. Let's save. So here it's missing a curly brace, so okay, now let's save and we get all the errors. So let's check for the get node. In the request, let's create the get node. And now put this one from get all nodes. And let's try to get the node number 2. So send the request, not found. But if we go for the first one, send request, and we get now the node.